The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber stretched high above, filtering starlight from a dozen nearby suns. Over 300 species had representatives in the circular chamber, each sitting in sections designed for their unique biology. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime. Ambassador Kyle Morrison from Earth walked slowly to the central podium. His footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. He wore a simple black suit with a small Earth flag pin on his lapel. His face looked tired, like a man who had repeated the same warning too many times. "Thank you for gathering on such short notice," Kyle began, his voice steady but firm. "I wish I could say this was a diplomatic courtesy call, but we're past that point now." He activated the holographic display. A star map appeared, showing human territory marked in blue. Red markers indicated Vraxian fleet positions. They were getting dangerously close to the boundary line. "The Vraxian Empire has ignored 17 official warnings over the past 6 months, Kyle continued. "Their scout ships have been probing our borders. Their military command has stated publicly that they intend to send warships through Sector 7. That sector contains 3 human colonies. 20 million civilians live there." From the Vraxian section of the chamber, Commander Drolth rose to his full height. He was nearly 8 feet tall, covered in dark scales that gleamed under the chamber lights. His 4 eyes fixed on Kyle with obvious contempt. "The mighty humans always whining about their precious borders," Drolth's voice boomed through the chamber. His translator gave his words a mocking tone. "My people have conquered 40 star systems in just 2 centuries. We are warriors. You are shopkeepers playing soldier." Several council members gasped at the insult. Kyle didn't react. He'd heard worse. "Commander, I'm not here to debate military history," Kyle said quietly. "I'm here to save your life and the lives of your crews." Drolth laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "Save us? From what?" "Your little patrol boats." Ambassador Lisa Hayes from the Viridian Alliance stood up. Her people were tall, thin, and peaceful by nature. They had been humanity's first real friends in the galaxy. "Commander Drolth, please listen." Lisa's voice carried genuine worry. 3 other civilizations made the same mistake you're about to make. The Korthan fleet sent 40 warships into human space 5 years ago. They wanted to claim a mining world. All 40 ships vanished. No wreckage. No survivors. Nothing. The Selvian Armada tried 3 years later, added Council Member Thomas Wright, another human diplomat. They sent their best stealth ships, thinking they could slip past human defenses. 18 vessels. Gone. We received exactly 1 distress call that lasted 4 seconds before it cut off. Lisa continued, her voice dropping lower. Then came the Pitch Raiders last year. They were pirates, yes, but they had advanced technology stolen from a dozen species. They boasted they would show the galaxy that humans were weak. 73 ships entered human territory. She paused, letting the silence stretch. "How many returned?" asked a small amphibious delegate from the lower chambers. 0, Kyle answered. "Not 1 ship. Not 1 life pod. Not 1 escape shuttle. The automated defense grid processed them like insects flying into a web." Drolth slammed his clawed hand on his desk. "Lies. Propaganda. You expect us to believe fairy tales meant to scare children?" Kyle's expression didn't change. He'd expected this reaction. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small data chip. "This chip contains every warning we sent to those 3 civilizations. Every diplomatic message. Every chance we gave them to turn back. It also contains the final automated logs from our defense systems. The timestamps. The recorded violations. The neutralization protocols." He placed the chip on the podium. "I'm leaving it here for anyone who wants to verify the truth." He looked directly at Drolth. "Commander, in 6 hours your fleet will cross into Sector 7. The moment your first ship passes that boundary, our automated defense network will activate. It doesn't care about your warrior culture. It doesn't care about your pride or your military reputation. It only cares about one thing, protecting human civilians. And you think we fear your machines?" Drolth sneered. "I think you should," Kyle replied simply. "Because here's what you don't understand about humans, Commander. We learned a terrible lesson centuries ago on our own world. We fought wars that killed millions of our own people. We built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. And when we finally reached for the stars, we promised ourselves something. Never again would human civilians die because we weren't strong enough to protect them." He gathered his documents, his movements deliberate and calm. "The defense network isn't designed to conquer. It's designed to make sure that anyone who threatens human life regrets that decision. If they survive long enough to have regrets. Kyle looked around the chamber at all the assembled species. I've delivered my warning. I've fulfilled my legal obligation under council law. What happens next is Commander Drolth's choice. Kyle walked toward the exit. The chamber remained dead silent except for his footsteps. You're bluffing. Drolth shouted after him. Kyle paused at the doorway and looked back one final time. Then you'll die where you please, Commander. The doors closed behind him. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the chamber erupted into urgent conversations. Species that bordered human space spoke quickly with their allies. Everyone had heard the stories, but few had believed them. Lisa Hayes sat down slowly, her face troubled. She picked up the data chip Kyle had left behind. She already knew what it contained. She'd seen the classified reports. In the Vraxian section, Drolth stood alone while his subordinates waited for orders. He gave the command. Tell the fleet to proceed as planned. We attack at dawn. Captain Jake Matthews sat in the command chair of the patrol vessel Boundary, a coffee mug balanced on the armrest. The ship wasn't impressive by military standards. Just a standard patrol cruiser about the size of an old Earth destroyer, with a crew of 43. Its job was simple: watch the border and report violations. The coffee had gone cold 20 minutes ago, but Jake kept sipping it anyway. He'd been doing this job for 6 years now. Border patrol wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. Sir, proximity alarms, called out Lieutenant Rachel Bennett from the sensor station. Her voice stayed calm and professional, but Jake heard the slight tension underneath. Multiple contacts approaching the boundary line. Jake set down his mug and leaned forward. How many? Counting now, 12 warships. Vraxian design. Heavy cruiser class. Rachel's fingers danced across her console. They're in formation. This isn't a navigational error, Captain. They know exactly where they're going. Jake felt his stomach tighten. He'd known this was coming ever since the council meeting, but hoping and knowing were different things. Distance to boundary? 4,000 kilometers and closing. Speed indicates they'll cross in approximately 90 seconds. Open a channel. Standard warning protocol. Rachel nodded and activated the communication system. Her voice echoed through the bridge as she transmitted, Vraxian vessels, you are approaching restricted human space. This is a protected zone under Galactic Council law. Turn back immediately. This is your final warning. Acknowledge. The response came quickly. A harsh, mocking voice filled the bridge. Pathetic humans. Your warnings mean nothing. Move aside or be destroyed. We claim this space for the Vraxian Empire. Several crew members glanced at Jake, waiting for orders. He rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. Send it again, Rachel. Let them know what they're doing. She transmitted once more, Vraxian vessels, you are about to violate human territorial sovereignty. Our automated defense systems will activate upon border breach. Turn back now. This is your final warning. Another laugh came through the speakers. We do not fear your machines, human. We are warriors of Vraxia. Our ships are equipped with the finest weapons and 40 conquered systems. What will you do? Hide behind your single patrol boat. Jake sighed deeply. He tried. That's all anyone could ask. Mark them, he said quietly. Activate Protocol Labyrinth. Rachel's hands moved across her console. Targeting systems locked. All 12 vessels marked and tagged with identification signatures. Defense Grid is receiving the data now. Protocol Labyrinth is active. Grid status shows green across all sectors. Time until they cross? 30 seconds. Jake stood up and walked to the main display screen. It showed the Vraxian fleet as red dots moving steadily toward the blue line that represented human space. Behind that line, the display showed nothing. Just empty space. But Jake knew better. He'd seen the classified briefings. He knew what waited in that darkness. Record everything, he ordered. Command wants complete tactical data. Every maneuver, every response, every countermeasure. This will be used for training purposes. Recording active, confirmed Rachel. All sensor data streaming to the military network. 10 seconds to border breach, called out another crew member. Jake watched the display. The Vraxian ships didn't slow down. They didn't hesitate. Their confidence radiated through their flight pattern. Tight formation. Aggressive speed. They expected the single human patrol boat to run away. 5 seconds. 4. 3. 2. Border breach confirmed. 12 Vraxian vessels have entered human space. Sector 7, Grid Designation Baker 47. Rachel looked up from her console. Grid acknowledgement received. Defense platforms are now active. Autonomous systems have taken control. All targets confirmed hostile. Weapons status on the Vraxian ships? Their weapons are hot. Shields at maximum. They're ready for a fight. Rachel paused, studying her sensors. Captain, they're still not detecting anything. Their scans show empty space. They think they're alone out here except for us. Jake almost felt sorry for them. Almost. How long until first contact? Rachel checked her tactical display, where the real-time grid status updated every millisecond. The automated defense network was already calculating trajectories, running probability scenarios, deploying countermeasures. The grid calculates first engagement in approximately 18 minutes. That's when the lead ships will enter the outer detection web. Full neutralization estimated at 32 minutes after initial border breach. 32 minutes, Jake repeated softly. 12 warships. Probably 3,000 crew members total. He sat back down, picking up his cold coffee. The Vraxian fleet pushed deeper into human space, their sensors sweeping back and forth, searching for the defenses they'd been warned about. They wouldn't find them. Not until it was too late. The defense platforms had been designed by the best military engineers Earth had ever produced. Each one was coated in adaptive camouflage that bent light and sensor waves around it. They generated no heat signature. No electromagnetic emissions. No gravitational distortion. They were ghosts. Until they weren't. Captain, Rachel said quietly, the Vraxians are increasing speed. They think we're going to attack them. They're trying to push past our position quickly. Let them go, Jake said. We're not the threat they need to worry about. On the sensor display, the 12 red dots raced forward confidently. In the darkness around them, thousands of invisible platforms watched and waited. The automated systems tracked every movement, calculated every weakness, prepared every response. The Vraxian sensors showed empty space. They were completely, utterly wrong. Commander Drolth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror's Pride. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with the confidence of veterans. They had broken through defensive lines before. They had crushed resistance on 40 worlds. This would be no different. Status report, Drolth commanded. All 12 ships holding formation, his tactical officer replied. We're 50,000 kilometers inside human space. No resistance detected. No weapons fire. Their single patrol vessel turned away and fled as expected. Drolth allowed himself a smile. The humans had talked tough at the council, but actions spoke louder than words. They were running scared. Increase speed. I want to reach the colony system before they can organize a proper defense. Yes, Commander. The fleet pushed deeper. Drolth studied his tactical display with satisfaction. The holographic map showed his 12 warships as green dots, moving in perfect formation through empty space. No threats. No obstacles. Just open territory ready for claiming. Then his communications officer suddenly straightened. Commander, we've lost telemetry from Ship 7. Lost telemetry? Check the communications array. Array is functioning normally, sir. Ship 7 is simply not responding. No signal at all. Drolth frowned. Raise them on emergency channels. Trying now, Commander. Pause. No response. It's like the ship isn't there anymore. That's impossible. Ships don't just disappear. Drolth turned to his sensor operator. Where is Ship 7? The operator's hands moved frantically across his controls. His face went pale. Commander, I'm not detecting Ship 7 on any scanner. It's gone from visual tracking. It's gone from electromagnetic scans. It's just gone. A cold feeling crept up Drolth's spine. What do you mean gone? Before anyone could answer, another alarm shrieked across the bridge. Ship 9. We've lost contact with Ship 9. Drolth rushed to the sensor station, shoving the operator aside. He stared at the display. 2 of his ships had simply vanished from existence. No explosion. No debris field. No distress signal. One moment they were there, the next moment they weren't. All ships, this is Drolth. Report status immediately. 10 voices responded. Ships 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 12 all confirmed they were operational. Ships 7 and 9 remained silent. Evasive maneuvers. Spread formation. Find what's attacking us. The fleet scattered, each ship breaking in different directions. Drolth's heart pounded. In 4 decades of military service, he'd never seen anything like this. Active scanning. Maximum power. I want to know what's out there. The sensors swept through space searching for the enemy. The display showed nothing. Just empty void. Commander, ships 3 and 11 report. The communications officer stopped mid-sentence. Commander, ships 3 and 11 are gone. Gone? I just heard them respond. Yes, sir. They responded 10 seconds ago. Now they're not there anymore. 8 ships left. Drolf felt panic rising in his chest. They were being picked off one by an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't detect, couldn't fight. 300 million kilometers away, Admiral Tyler Brooks sat in the command center of Defense Station Titan. The station orbited a gas giant on the edge of Sector 7, hidden behind sensor-dampening fields. From here the entire defensive grid could be monitored. Tyler took another bite of his turkey sandwich while watching the tactical display. Small red dots represented the Vraxian ships. They were darting around frantically now, completely disoriented. The Vraxians are panicking, noted Commander Ashley Green from the tactical station. 4 ships down. They're trying to retreat now, but they keep running into grid zones. Tyler chewed thoughtfully. What's the AI projecting for final neutralization? Current estimate is 19 more minutes. The Vraxians are making it harder by spreading out, but that just exposes them to more platforms. Tyler nodded. The defense grid was doing exactly what it had been designed to do. Thousands of autonomous platforms, each invisible to conventional sensors, each armed with weapons that could disable a ship in seconds. The platforms communicated through quantum entanglement, making their network impossible to jam or intercept. Add in the gravitational mines that could create localized spacetime distortions, and the adaptive countermeasure systems that learned and evolved with every engagement, and you had the most sophisticated defense network in the known galaxy. They still can't see the platforms? Tyler asked. Not a single one. The adaptive camouflage is working perfectly. From their perspective, their ships are just vanishing into thin air. Tyler watched as another red dot disappeared from the display. 5 ships remaining. A young officer named Kevin spoke up from the communication station. Sir, should we try to contact the Vraxians? Offer them a chance to surrender? Tyler shook his head. The grid is fully autonomous now. Once they crossed the border, the AI took control. Even if we wanted to stop it, we couldn't. That's by design. Why would we design it that way? Kevin asked. Ashley answered before Tyler could. Because humans can be merciful. We can hesitate. We can second-guess ourselves. The grid can't. It doesn't feel pity or regret. It just protects. When someone violates our space, the response is immediate and absolute. Another red dot vanished. 4 ships left. Tyler finished his sandwich and wiped his hands. This is the 14th incursion in 8 years. The grid has never failed. Every single hostile vessel that crosses our borders gets neutralized. You'd think word would get around. Pride, Ashley said. Species like the Vraxians can't imagine that someone else might be stronger. They've won so many times that they can't conceive of losing. 3 ships now. How long until the last ships reach the border on their retreat? Tyler asked. Ashley checked her calculations. At their current speed and trajectory, they won't make it. The grid has already deployed platforms in their escape path. Best case scenario, 1 ship might survive long enough to receive a communication offer. Tyler stood and walked to the main viewing screen. Out there in the darkness, invisible weapons were doing their job with cold efficiency. He felt no joy in it. Just a grim satisfaction that human civilians remained safe. When the last ship is in optimal position, have the grid initiate Protocol Mercy. If they respond correctly, we'll escort them out. If not. He didn't need to finish the sentence. 2 ships left on the display now. Then 1. Commander Drolf sat alone in the command chair of his flagship. The bridge was eerily quiet. Half his crew had died when ships 3 and 11 vanished. The survivors worked at their stations in shocked silence. 11 warships. Gone. Drolf had led 3,000 warriors into human space. Now only the 300 aboard his vessel remained alive, and he didn't know for how much longer. His claws gripped the armrests so hard they left marks in the metal. Every sensor showed empty space. Every scan came back negative. Whatever was killing his fleet remained completely invisible. Commander, his sensor operator whispered. We're receiving a transmission. Human origin. Drolf's first instinct was to ignore it. But what choice did he have? He was being hunted by ghosts. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life. A human face appeared. The man looked young, maybe 30 Earth years, with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. He wore a simple gray uniform with captain's insignia. Behind him, Drolf could see the bridge of what appeared to be a small patrol vessel. "Commander Drolf," the human said. His voice was quiet but firm. "I'm Captain Jake Matthews of the patrol vessel Boundary. I'm authorized to offer you one choice, and you have 60 seconds to make it." "You!" Drolf roared, his voice shaking with rage and fear. "You murdered my fleet. 3,000 warriors. You attacked us without warning, without honor." Jake's expression didn't change. He didn't look angry or proud or satisfied. He just looked tired. "No, Commander. Your fleet died the moment you ignored the warnings. 17 warnings over 6 months. A personal warning from Ambassador Morrison 6 hours ago. A final automated warning when you reached the border." Jake leaned forward slightly. "You were told exactly what would happen. You chose not to believe it. This is barbaric. Cowardly. You hide behind machines while warriors die." "You're right," Jake said simply. "It is barbaric. War is always barbaric. That's why we try so hard to prevent it." Drolf felt his anger falter. The human wasn't defending his actions or making excuses. He was just stating facts. Jake continued. "Our automated defense systems don't negotiate, Commander. They don't feel mercy or anger or pride. They only have one job: protect human civilians from threats. Once you cross that border, the grid activated. It will continue until all threats are neutralized. That's what it was built to do." "Then why haven't you killed me yet?" Drolf demanded. "Because I'm authorized to override the system for one ship if the commander agrees to carry a message back to the Galactic Council." Jake's eyes locked with Drolf's. "You have a choice. Turn your ship around right now, return to Council space, and tell them exactly what happened here. Tell them the truth. Or continue forward into our territory and join the rest of your fleet." Drolf's mind raced. Part of him wanted to push forward, to die fighting like a true Vraxian warrior. But another part, the part that had kept him alive through 40 campaigns, knew when a battle was lost. "What message?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "The truth. That human borders are absolute. That we gave you every chance to turn back. That when you ignored those warnings, our defense systems responded exactly as promised. And if I refuse?" Jake glanced at something off-screen. "Then in approximately 40 seconds, your ship will encounter platform cluster Gamma 7-3. Your shields will fail. Your engines will be disabled. Your life support will be compromised. You'll have maybe 2 minutes before the hull breaches." The casual way Jake delivered this information was somehow more terrifying than any threat. "But here's what you need to understand, Commander." Jake's voice softened slightly. "We don't want this. We don't want to kill. We don't celebrate victories over destroyed fleets. This brings us no joy. Then why do it? Because we learned a terrible lesson. When humans first reached the stars, we were naive. We thought everyone out here would be like us, wanting peace and cooperation. We lowered our defenses. We trusted." Jake's jaw tightened. "Then raiders attacked our colony on Haven. They hit at night when families were sleeping. 8,000 civilians died. Children, teachers, farmers, people who'd never held a weapon." Drolf felt something shift in his chest. He'd led many conquests, but he'd always fought military targets. "We made a promise that day," Jake continued. "Never again would human civilians die because we weren't prepared. Never again would we assume good intentions from strangers. So we built the grid, the most advanced defensive network in known space. And we made it automated so that emotion wouldn't compromise it." The screen behind Jake suddenly changed. Drolf gasped. Hundreds of platforms appeared out of nowhere, surrounding his ship in a sphere. Each one bristled with weapons. They'd been there all along, invisible, watching, waiting. "This is 5% of the defensive grid, Commander," Jake said quietly. 5%. The other 95% remains hidden. We're showing you this so you understand. This isn't a bluff. This isn't a trick. This is real." Drolf stared at the platforms. "So many. And that was only 5%? "We don't want war," Jake said. "We want peace. We want to trade with other species, share knowledge, explore the galaxy together. But our borders are non-negotiable. You cross that line uninvited, you face the consequences. No exceptions. No mercy." Drolf's hands trembled. His entire worldview was crumbling. The mighty Vraxian Empire, conquerors of 40 systems, helpless before an enemy they couldn't even see. "I'll carry your message," he whispered. "Smart choice." Jake nodded to someone off-screen. "You'll receive navigation coordinates. Follow them exactly. They'll guide you safely out of our territory." Deviate from that path by even 1 kilometer and the grid reactivates. Understood. Understood. One more thing, Commander. Jake's expression grew even more serious. When you tell this story, don't sugarcoat it. Don't try to save face for your empire. Tell them exactly how outmatched you were. Because the next commander who ignores the warnings won't get this chance. The screen went dark. Drolf sat in silence for a long moment. Then he gave the order to retreat. 6 months had passed since the Vraxian fleet entered human space. 6 months since 11 warships vanished into the void. 6 months since Commander Drolf made the longest journey of his life back to the Galactic Council. The council chamber looked different to him now. The same crystal dome, the same 300 species in their designated sections, the same filtered starlight from distant suns. But Drolf saw it all through different eyes. Humbled eyes. Educated eyes. He stood at the central podium wearing simple civilian clothing. His military rank had been stripped by the Vraxian High Command. His family name carried shame now. But he was alive, which was more than could be said for the 3,000 warriors who'd followed him into human territory. Commander Drolf, spoke the council arbiter, a floating jellyfish-like creature whose species had mediated disputes for 10,000 years. You stand before this council to provide testimony regarding the incident in Human Sector 7. Speak truthfully. This session is being broadcast to all member civilizations. Drolf's throat felt dry. He'd rehearsed this speech 100 times, but the words still came hard. 6 months ago, I led 12 warships into restricted human space, he began. His voice echoed through the chamber. I ignored 17 official warnings. I dismissed the ambassador's personal plea. I believed humans were weak, that their defenses were exaggerated stories meant to scare lesser species. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Some species nodded with understanding. Others looked away in shame, perhaps remembering their own prejudices. Within 32 minutes of crossing the border, 11 of my ships were destroyed. 3,000 warriors under my command died. I never saw the enemy. Never detected a single weapon. Never had a chance to fight back. Drolf paused, his 4 eyes glistening. They could have killed me instantly. My ship was surrounded by hundreds of weapon platforms. One command from the human captain, and I would have joined my warriors. He looked directly at the human delegation section, where Ambassador Kyle Morrison sat with several other human diplomats. Instead, Captain Jake Matthews gave me a choice. Die with honor or live with truth. He told me to come here and tell you what really happened. So I'm telling you. Everything you've heard about human defenses is true. Everything. They are not bluffing. They are not exaggerating. When they say their borders are absolute, they mean it. The chamber fell silent. The weight of Drolf's words settled over everyone like a heavy blanket. Ambassador Kyle Morrison stood and walked to the podium. Drolf stepped aside, giving the human space to speak. Thank you for your honesty, Commander Drolf, Kyle said quietly. Then he turned to address the council. I won't apologize for what happened to the Vraxian fleet. They were warned. They chose to ignore those warnings. The consequences were exactly as promised. He activated a holographic display showing the defensive grid's coverage area. Our defense network is automated by design. Once triggered, even we cannot stop it. This isn't a threat. It's a promise. We will defend our people at any cost. No negotiation. No compromise. No exceptions. Ambassador Lisa Hayes from the Viridian Alliance joined him at the podium. Her tall, slender frame cast a long shadow. I want the Council to understand something important, Lisa said. Humanity shares its defensive technology freely with peaceful nations. They helped us build our own grid to protect our worlds from pirates and raiders. Human engineers worked alongside our people for years, asking nothing in return except friendship. She gestured to several other delegates who stood up throughout the chamber. The humans have shared their technology with the Torban Collective, the Mesh Networks, the Free Colonies, and a dozen other peaceful civilizations. They don't hoard their knowledge. They don't demand payment or territory. They simply help. A small amphibious delegate named Quell from the lower section spoke up. But what makes human defenses different from standard military deterrence? Kyle answered. The difference is certainty. Most military forces can be negotiated with, bribed, or intimidated. Ours cannot. The automated systems don't care about politics or profit. They only care about one thing, protecting human civilians. Cross the border uninvited and the response is guaranteed. Absolute. Unstoppable. The council arbiter floated to the center. This council must now vote on designating human territory with Protocol Alpha protection status. This is the highest territorial protection in galactic law. All member species would be legally and morally bound to respect human borders under penalty of immediate sanctions. The vote was called. One by one, species cast their votes on the holographic display. Green lights appeared for yes, red for no. The final count appeared, 287 green, 0 red, 13 abstentions. The measure passes, declared the arbiter. Human space now carries Protocol Alpha designation. As the session ended and delegates began filing out, conversations buzzed throughout the chamber. Drolth remained at the podium watching the humans gather their materials. Near the exit, 2 delegates walked together. One resembled an upright lizard, the other a floating cloud of luminescent gas. "I heard something interesting about humans," the lizard-like delegate said quietly. "They're the only species that domesticated predators as companions. They live with creatures that could kill them." "Really?" the gaseous delegate responded. "Yes. They call them dogs. Ancient wolves that humans befriended thousands of years ago. It explains much about their nature." "How so?" "They treat friends like family. They're loyal, protective, generous. But trespassers? Those who threaten their pack." The delegate glanced back at Drolth. "The Vraxians learned what happens when you mistake human patience for weakness." The delegates disappeared into the corridor, their conversation fading. Kyle Morrison approached Drolth. The Vraxian commander tensed, unsure what to expect. "You did well today," Kyle said simply. "Telling the truth took courage." Drolth's voice cracked. "I killed 3,000 of my own people through pride and stupidity." "You did. But you're saving countless others by speaking honestly." Kyle extended his hand, a human gesture of respect. "Your warriors didn't die for nothing if their sacrifice teaches the galaxy to respect boundaries." Drolth stared at the offered hand for a moment, then grasped it carefully. Across the galaxy, thousands of automated defense platforms maintained their silent vigil. They didn't sleep, didn't rest, didn't forget their purpose. In human colonies on dozens of worlds, children played in streets without fear. Families gathered for meals. People slept peacefully in their homes. The borders remained secure.